What happens when you purify your body, your mind, your spirit? Something miraculous. The body begins to heal itself. Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, where each week we explore new ways to heal your body from the root, igniting your inner healer. You are the medicine. And now, here's your host, Robin Stebbins.
Hello and welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast. It's me, your host, Robin Stebbins. Today I had the honor of interviewing for the third time Dr. Juliette Engel. And I'm slicing together our podcast. One of them we had to cut short because of me and my scheduling stupidity. It's been with me my whole life. I'm ashamed of it. I can't schedule. I miss appointments all the time. On my website, if someone schedules an appointment with me, I say, you have to text me the day that you schedule the appointment so I can put it in my calendar. And then you have to text me an hour before we meet. Otherwise, the chances of me showing up are about 12%. So, no, the calendars don't work for me. They don't give me reminders. I have to put an alarm. And if it's like 3 weeks away, I have to say every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, I have to hear the alarm telling me in 3 days. So the intro got cut off. I don't know how. Zoom didn't record the first part of it, and then it just all of a sudden started recording. But in it, she talks about who her family members were, and it was all higher level government CIA operatives. And she talks about the sex magic program where they were the freaks at parties, and they would pull up in a big diesel, and in the back were these girls, gorgeous women with next to nothing on and short skirts with no underwear, and they would pass out LSD at these parties. And she had met Charles Manson at one of them. He was like just a roadie helping set up things, and then was singing. And so this is the program that your very own government set up. And you can read the documents, they're down below in the show notes, about what our wonderful government does and how they experiment on us. And so what I want you to understand, and the reason I'm so obsessed with interviewing her, is because I think it's so important for the way we move through this. And we actually start creating a place that we envision and stop complaining about the government and the one world government and the World Economic Forum, because they don't matter if you don't participate in their lives. And I don't mean go the common law sovereign citizen, make up your own rules. No, if you're going to drive a car, you need a driver's license and car insurance and to register your car, or they're going to take away your car. You need to pay your mortgage, or they're going to take away your house. Let's use common sense. But what I'm talking about is what we envision. I envision healthy food, pure spring water that's living, energy to do the things that light me up, to step in front of harm's way if there's somebody helpless, like a child or an animal. And then we spend our time then creating the world that we envision. They can't stop that. They can stop a protest, which is a waste of time. They can stop the political parties. No political person is ever going to save you, ever. I don't care who it is. The Dalai Lama, the Pope, the Gandhi comes back from the dead and is like, I'm going to save you. Jesus comes back. No, that's not what is going to save us. The savior isn't out there somewhere. That's what you've been programmed to believe, that Superman, you, the common citizen, have no power. You have to wait for someone to come and save you. That's a program that's running, and that is not true. The savior is within. So we save one another, we save ourselves. We don't wait for anyone. No one's coming. They're going to keep doing this as long as you allow them to do that. So when I say we starve them of our attention, what they're after is our attention. They want us focused on them. Watching Hollywood movies, I downloaded the movie Mount Walsh and Am I Racist? Why? Because it's funny. But does that help anything? No. He's not helping anything. He's just feeding into more of that, like, oh my God, they really are that crazy. And it's dividing us further. What the solution is, stop giving them your money, stop going to the movies, stop worrying about what actors are doing and what they're saying. Who cares? If they're irrelevant, they disappear. They feed off of your attention. That's the vampires that they are. They are feeding off of that energy, not your blood, your attention. They can't handle it if you don't care about them, if you ignore them instead of boosting up like, oh my God, look what Megan Fox said, and I think it's a man. And yeah, it's interesting, but that will keep you stuck in a never-ending loop, a rabbit hole of an endless, infinite sea of rabbit holes. And for what? For what purpose? You still don't have food in your backyard. You still don't know your neighbors. You still don't have soul to soul connection if you're staring at these scrying mirrors and listening to their black magic. What we're after is this soul to soul connection and a world, a planet that has food, that nourishes the body, that's living, that's exchanging life force energy, and that we have time. We have time to pursue those things that light up our soul. And we have loving connections with other people, soul to soul contact with other people. And that can be with everyone. You can find common ground with anyone. I know that for a fact. So enjoy this episode. Sorry for the long intro, but I think it's so important because this is the way out. We've all been MK Ultra'd. Just because you weren't in the concentrated program, we were all MK Ultra'd. You suffered definite trauma if you went to a government school, if you went to the public school system, in any capacity, you've been traumatized, you've been brainwashed, and you've been programmed. Or if you grew up on a television programming, you've been traumatized. All the stuff that we saw, all the violence that we saw at a very young age, you've been traumatized. And you probably had abusive parents in some capacity or another. Like we've all been down that road, whether it was substance or outright abuse, whatever it is. So we also need to collectively heal from that. Very simple. You don't have to go to a therapist and talk about your childhood trauma. That will only make it worse, as I'm sure all of the people in therapy know, and those of us that know people in therapy, we know it's not working. Talking about your problems is just making them worse, or thinking that you have more problems, or going and doing psychedelics. It's just creating more of that cycle of the external. I need something to heal in here. It's an inside job. How do we do that? We stop, we slow down, we stop running in that never ending loop, that rat race, which I'm guilty of too. And then we listen to raw nature, listen to the wind as it blows through the pine needles. Smell the air. Smell the air as you're walking through an old growth forest. That is medicine. Listen to what the trees are saying. It's not a language. You can't put it into words like, oh, a tree just told me. No, it's not like that. It is the medicine, just sitting there in their presence and embodying oneness. That's all you have to do. And not get caught up in the fear mongering and releasing the mosquitoes and whatever else they're doing. Stop watching it. That's all you have to do to disconnect. turn it off. Stop drinking the alcohol. Stop smoking the nicotine. Stop smoking the cannabis. Stop eating the processed foods. Pretty simple, huh? So enjoy this episode and really let me know in the comments what you guys think, what you would like to see. Let's start talking, you and me. You there listening to my podcast, telling me that you like my podcast. I appreciate that. But now let's start connecting on a deeper level with solutions. Here's what I have come up with, but I'm just one person. Imagine if a million of us started thinking about solutions. Imagine if 100 million of us started envisioning this and we ignored them. You can't gun someone down for not going and buying a Starbucks coffee, but you can when they're at a protest. You see how they work. They want you protesting. They want you to stand up and fight. So if we stop doing that, imagine what we can create.
And I think you'll find the people that went through the MK Ultra program and submitted, in other words, gave up their free thought, gave up, I consider it giving up your soul, and became the controllable empty vessels. They were put into the senior executive service. The senior executive service, until about a year ago, had a website. You can look it up in the Wayback Machine. And they bragged that they control 75 government agencies. And I've run into these people. They are, whenever you receive federal government money, you get some of these people. They come in, they make themselves at home. They're being paid by someone you don't know who.
Right.
They're being instructed by you don't know who. They do everything to disrupt whatever you're doing, and they're an absolute menace to any real kind of progress and program. And they're from the senior executive service, and
Okay.
I'd say that's who they are. They get paid many, many times what anyone else gets paid. You cannot fire them. And that's why these people in the FBI, if you look at them, Strzok and McCabe and what's her name, Page, and all these people, like, why weren't they fired?
Right.
Their behavior was criminal. Well, they're senior executive service. So not only do they not get fired, they get raises and bonuses and protection.
Right.
So we're in a mess.
Yeah. And it seems like everyone in a position of power or authority is part of it. And
yes.
So even in our, the little town I live in, Northern California, they're spraying Agent Orange on our parks, saying that the fennel is invasive and they have to get rid of the fennel. And then they cut down all of the trees across the way, all of the eucalyptus trees where there was an eagle's nest. I thought that was protected, but they cut them all down saying it was a fire hazard.
Eucalyptus trees?
Mm-hmm.
Not especially.
So this is what they don't think. The ones at the smaller ends, the sheep, are just waiting for further instructions from the powers that be. And they're the ones that are running the show that the psychopaths have set up for us. And so it's like everyone is just following their script of whatever to do. And it's all about destroying the country, because I have never seen anything so anti-logic, anti-reasoning. None of it makes sense.
Genocide of your own children is exactly what's been happening.
Yes.
And they've planned it with the vaccine, the Prozac, to make everybody just dumb as stumps. Get everybody on the poison vaccine, the destruction of children, the destruction of the human race, basically is what they're trying to do.
And the for-profit abortion, let's not leave that one out, And I've said this before, but you tell me where I can go into the wild and separate a mother from her baby. It's not going to happen. Yet they've programmed us so deeply that you have mothers putting their children on the altar to get harmed and abused and destroyed, mutilated, this whole starting with circumcision for boys. And then we go to this movement. It's always been like if you go back to the original pharmakia and medicine, it never started good. It started out as a satanic organization to cast spells on the masses. And you look at, this is a satanic sacrifice they're getting people to do by mutilating their children. How
Yeah.
perfect is that when you want to traumatize a nation of children, get them to dissociate? Then they are programmable with either, the music industry is so harmful. And that's just the words that we can hear. What's going on underneath with the different frequencies? We have it all in the movies. All of this is just meant to traumatize and destroy. And every single, infant now basically is born with a phone in their hand.
Yeah. That's where we are. And it started with 12 evil men in 1953.
And let me ask you, with those 12 evil men, my question is, looks like they were getting their instructions from probably the Nazi experiments and whatever the Nazis were doing. Are they doing this satanic ritual because it works? Or are they just doing it because they're evil and they, want more power and control? But I mean, are these rituals actually bringing them real power, real energy?
I think that what they're trying to do is create the avenues to be able to grasp that real power and
I
energy.
see.
They know it has to come from children. Hence, we have the adrenochrome industry. And we're bringing hundreds of thousands of children over the border who are then part of the organ trafficking and adrenochrome industry. And we had that wonderful State Department whistleblower blow the whistle on the fact that all these children are being brought over the border. She named the trucking company from Virginia that had the contract, a $47 million contract to drive them to different medical facilities around the US. And then it stops, the information stops. But you can go on the dark web and you can find where they're selling vials of adrenochrome for like up to $250,000. And that's supposed to, and people buy it and believe it's, going to rejuvenate them.
Well, you look at Hollywood stars, they don't seem to age.
But they die.
They die, but they sure look good. So I don't know if it actually works or if it's, I mean, they say there's some science behind the adrenochrome that it does actually make you more youthful.
But they have corrupted souls. I mean, you can see it.
Oh yeah, they did. What was the movie? Death Becomes Her with Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep drinking the. That's what it was. That was the movie was all about.
Gosh. And I saw that when it came out and I thought it was very funny. Now I think it's horrible.
I know.
It's
that's how they get you with and I did a 9-10 part series on Hollywood, the one ring to rule them all, because the most dangerous ones are the comedians. And the ones where it's a light-hearted, funny show because you let your guard down. It's not, like a spooky horror movie. You're looking for signs and clues. This is just funny and you get to let your guard down and laugh, but it's programming you.
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. That's what it was. And as I've been, well, let me go to, I don't know if we've covered this, but in December of 2024, the National Security Archive published records on the MK Ultra program. And this is the first time that they've admitted this is the government National Security Archive.
Right.
And it's the first time they've admitted that the program even existed.
Right.
And so in 2020, December 23rd, 2024, they spilled it all. And they described who did it, how they did it, this is the man who targeted me and became my handler in the early 50s. His name is Dr. George Hunter White, and he was a killer.
Oh, that picture looks like he has horns.
If anybody could have horns, he would have horns. And this is Dr. Ewan Cameron, who ran horrific programs in Montreal at McGill University, and was the source for a lot of the super soldiers who then went to Montauk, the Montauk Project in New York, and that was the basis for the Netflix film Stranger Things.
Oh,
They actually consulted some of the survivors from the Montauk boys, the Montauk Project, and they're a group. I guess fewer than 1% actually survived there, and that's completely believable. And so the experimentation about taking groups of children and having them teleport through a portal and draw entities from other dimensions and other spaces. I've participated in that. When I was a child, I was maybe 7, 8 years old. I was taken to Mexico and left with a group of politicians and who knows where. I never knew who the adults were,
right.
But I knew the governor of California was there, and they had an actual copy of Mein Kampf, big book with lots of experiments that they wanted to run on this group of 33 children that they had under their control. And they took away our clothes. We ran around for 2 weeks in the sun in our underpants, and had us do things like open portals over the ocean, go into the portals, bring back entities. And a lot of children died or didn't come back. They went through the portals and didn't know how to get back. And I got fairly good at going in and out. And I would bring back entities, though I don't know what they were or who they were. And
what do you think they were using them for?
Control. They're trying to get control of the underworld. I mean, this was clearly their objective.
Or create the underworld on the planet, like bring hell.
But they want to control it.
Yeah,
they want these entities to work for them, and they want to control those entities. And what happened with the Montauk Project, and this is a couple of the kids that participated in the project said that the entity came through the portal and killed all the researchers, and then they shut the project down, and only a couple of the kids survived. But that the entity came through and actually saved the children. So that was the end of that. And then they based that Netflix series on that. Yeah, Stranger Things. So, but anyway, I if I didn't send you the link to the to this document, anyone that's interested in knowing what they actually did and have denied for all this time, it's in these documents. There's 1,200 pages of documents and a 40-page summary. Did I send this to you, Robin?
I don't. I'm looking. I see it's something that was sent, but I can't open it. It just has a question mark on it. See if I can find like the original one. Save to document.
Yeah, it's this. That might be backwards though.
Yeah. Let's see if I can go open it. But I can put it in the show notes.
Yes, I'll send it to you. Put it in the show notes and anybody can look, because from now on, the U.S. government, the CIA, and the 12 evil men cannot deny what they did. And
why do you think they let us have this stuff? That's what it is always a red flag to me. Like, why are they telling us unless they have to? The revelation of the method is part of their karma.
Well, I think a lot of whistleblowers have worked, and they said that getting this together and getting this published and archived and registered took years.
Okay.
So I think some very devoted people who deserve a lot of credit
Yeah.
got it out there, and they just they distributed it on December 23rd. I mean, the day that no one is checking the
Right.
security archive.
Right.
So they kind of snuck it in, but it's in there. And now
Interesting.
everyone in the world has it or should have
Right.
it. And there's no denying. And the archive only goes to like the 1980s. So now they're denying it. It ended,
Right.
but it didn't end. It went into the digital age, and now it's even worse because it's ubiquitous, and kids are being programmed from birth, as you say, and so it's extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah. And traumatized from birth because what these children are able to see on screens. I found out my son at school saw somebody getting murdered on his
Yeah,
screen when he was in third grade.
yeah.
Everyone
You
was passing it
turn on
around.
it. Yeah, you turn on Instagram.
Yeah.
I turned it on last night to like watch cat videos, and it was dead Palestinian children.
Yeah.
It's just trauma all over again. Constant trauma. We're being
Constant trauma.
traumatized.
And whether it's real or not, it's hard to say, but it doesn't matter. That's getting into the psyche. And when you're that young,
Yeah.
you will disassociate unless you have, just some rock solid psyche, which most children don't because they're traumatized by their parents too. Their parents have been traumatized. And so it sounds like when these 12 evil men were getting the blueprint, they were running experiments on all the goats to see how they can mass then hypnotize the nation, make them all dumb on these drugs. And just because they're calling it Prozac and they're calling this one,
Mhm.
you know, it they can put whatever they want into these capsules. Nobody's running, massive tests on them.
You're right. And Prozac's the only one that is mentioned to the point where I know about it.
Yeah,
They were experimenting on all kinds of drugs, and
exactly.
then developed the SSRIs and all kinds of psychotropic. There's just too many to name.
There's too many to
Cymbalta and
name, right? And then they have when they legalized marijuana,
mm,
um, many, many, many people that would smoke in the 60s and 70s are saying their marijuana is hallucinogenic and feels like it's sprayed with LSD. And
interesting.
all of the kids are smoking marijuana, not necessarily the plant, but they're smoking what they call carts. And these are just these little cartridges that they put in the pins. And who knows what's in that? And it's marketed
Could
to kids.
could be anything.
Could be anything. And they're vaping the nicotine, could be anything. Could be anything. So then we look at, okay, they've accomplished their mass hypnosis, their mass MK ultra programming. There has to be solutions.
Well, the solutions aren't going to come from the sheep. I think that's very, very been proven by this whole COVID fiasco. I mean,
Right.
the way people reacted to something that was so obviously a setup and dangerous, and the information about it was out there. Anybody could look at what
Yes.
people other than Fauci were saying,
Yeah.
and the complicity by the medical profession is actually mentioned in the documents in the National Security Archive. Is that one of the things that actually surprised the 12 evil men is that they thought they would have a lot of problems with the medical profession doing these experiments,
Right.
because a lot of the places that they did them in, like they built an entire wing at George Washington University, and or is this Georgetown University Hospital.
Mm.
They built this wing and took over one entire floor, and the medical doctors never objected, and they should have fought
Yeah,
it 100%, but
they
they
will.
found them very easy to bribe, pay off.
I've
um,
said that
yeah,
I've worked 37 years inside the medical industrial complex, as I call it. I have not seen one medical professional that I would say they have their soul intact. They've sold their soul for a dollar. But you've been through medical school. It sounds to me like a perfect way to get somebody programmed and brainwashed because of all the hours you have to spend. You're up all night, awake all day.
Yeah.
Coffee's your middle name and stimulants. I mean, what a great way to get somebody into your cult because by the time they're done, you're what, $500,000 in debt and you see the system for what it is. You have to. I know they all do. And, at some point you have to realize like no one's getting better. Everyone's just getting progressively worse. But I'm not going to say anything because, Don over there and John over there, they're doing it too. And the system's going to go on. So might as well just put my head down, do what I'm told, and collect the money and accolades. Well, and the status too.
Yep. And not think about it.
And not think about it. And that's where we are. And it's all the nurses too. We saw that,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I have to say, when I started into the medical profession, it was a different class of people who were my professors and
Right.
my seniors. They were honorable. They were different. So
Yeah.
they were intact. So you had an intact group.
Right.
And then coming along with my medical class and behind me, it was less and less so and more about the money. But we were going into the 1980s when there was all this flood of almost free money going everywhere. So it changed. We're in a terrible mess, and I'm hoping to help activate the survivors. I think the reason I'm out here is because I was one of the first. So I think many others will come along that getting rid of the programming and washing it off takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and the program's wearing off. And I think that the signals to us have gotten lost in time. That originally there was a program very much against the Soviet Union, which is why I think a lot of government continues to imagine that Russia is still the Soviet Union, which it isn't even in the slightest. So we need to sort this out, and I will continue to talk about it. And it needs to be people like you who haven't had their minds divided. There's
Right.
nothing I can do to recover from that. I mean, the way your brain is formatted as a baby is the way it stays. But I can use the tools that I have from having that access to, picture perfect memories now when I get
Right.
into the boxes. And that's true of many other MK Ultra people that I'm getting to know. So it's a rapidly moving time, and your podcasts are very important.
Thank you. Yeah, I call it grift-free, sponsorship-free truth because I mean, my voice would be swayed if somebody's paying me $2,000 a month to support their product. I don't want that to go away. Then you start to count on it. So that's why no matter what, we're doing grift-free, sponsorship-free. It's just me. I don't have anyone that edits anything. I do everything. And that's how I think it has to be to remain clean.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're just chasing the American dollar. And I worked for this billionaire in San Francisco. He needed a nurse to help him get off of addictive substances. And the whole family was a nightmare of just toxic relationships and backbiting and sabotage. And I said, this is not what I signed up for. I got him off drugs. I got him healthy, but they didn't want him healthy. They wanted him conserved and they wanted to take his money. And I was a pawn that they were throwing back and forth. And so I finally told them, I said, this is turning into a mess. It was about 6 weeks later. I said, I'm going to have to walk away. I wish you the best, but This is out of my comfort zone. And he said, name your price. Name your price. And I said, I don't have a price. Like my soul is not worth any amount of money.
There was your moment.
That was my moment.
You could
And
have sold your soul
I
right
could
there.
have, oh, easily, easily. And he would have paid me whatever I would have asked for. And we could have manipulated the family and gotten into this whole thing. And I walked away clean. And it was the biggest relief.
Mhm.
There's not a dollar amount for certain people on this planet. And those are the people I call pure hearts. And we can activate and help bring forward what we envision this place to be. They don't have any more control or claim to this place than we do. But they've made it seem, they've programmed us to believe they're in control. They own every square inch of the land and they own every square inch of nature. That's why they can go to my park and spray Agent Orange happily without anyone saying a single word about it. And they can cut down all the trees with an eagle's nest in it without anyone blinking an eye. Where are the climate change
Yeah, where are they?
when we're cutting down trees? But no, it's okay because those are the bad trees. But they're not planting new ones that won't take another 25 to 30 years to grow.
Yes.
So I mean, sorry not to get sidetracked on that, but back to simple solutions to those that are brainwashed.
Well, that I think we should do that on another crazy. Uh, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't like what's going on.
I know. Yeah, it seems like the walls are closing in and the screws are tightening on everything they've been doing for the past few decades that's leading up to, I think, where we are right now.
Yeah, it feels very much like we're heading towards a narrow ravine, and there's no way out of it. We're going to go through it and
Yeah.
off a waterfall or up into the air or whatever. Um, yeah, it's. I don't see a way around this. We're all going to go through whatever this is.
That's the feeling I get. Like it's like jumping on a runaway freight train and thinking you can stop it by putting your foot out or, protesting with a sign. Nothing is stopping what's coming.
Yeah, that's a big eye opener that nothing you vote for matters.
Yeah,
Nothing you speak out against matters. The whole idea of protesting is really just to take your energy away.
right.
It doesn't matter. Going before the Congress doesn't matter. Uh, Fighting a war doesn't matter. They're all pointless.
Right. And you can see like I think it's been one world government from the beginning, whatever the beginning was. And they play us against each other. So all of their narratives come down to black against white, gay against straight. It doesn't matter. They want you to pick a category so that they can show you that you're either the victim and, the oppressed or the oppressor.
Yeah, they just want us, they like feed off of us fighting against each other and everything. I mean, everything on television, all the news stories, all the Mockingbird media is aimed at getting us to hate each other and
Yes.
fight each other and see other humans as the enemy. And it's just not true.
Right.
And we're going to have, even if we're physically going to head down this narrow canyon and down the waterfall and whatever is waiting for us there, spiritually, we can break free. I mean, we don't have to go, we might die in the process, but our spirit doesn't have to go down that path.
Right.
And we might not know any more about this than that. looking at a lot of people are looking back, looking at the Sumerians and their amazing civilization, which looks like could have lasted 200,000 years. And the bizarre timelines in the Bible, people living 800 years, which is
Right.
probably a mix up in time. But, but, we're only looking back really. Like I've struggled to do my ancestry as far back as I can get is the year 500. I really just can't get back farther than that. So we're kind of stuck. We're stuck in a glass
Loop.
box. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And we don't know the truth, and we don't know who we are. We don't know where we came from. Um,
Yeah. And I definitely think that's an important piece of what we're talking about here and what, we talked about in the first podcast is that I don't think you can escape even after death unless you truly wake up now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nothing's going to end. That is certain. And this whole idea that we have this enormous millions and millions and millions of genes on our DNA, and we supposedly only use 2%. What are
Right.
you kidding me? No, we're part of, and the rest of it looks like it's the connection to the energy body, the spiritual body, the ability or the transmission of our spirits through time and space. And then you immediately go into nonverbal. And I was trying to explain some of the experiments that were done on us in the MK Ultra program that involved sending us transdimensionally into other worlds and then having us bring back entities from the other worlds. How dangerous that was, and how many children died doing that. And people are always like, well, what was it like? What did you
Yeah.
see? What was your experience? It's nonverbal. You cannot put that experience into words. You would have to transmit it by other means. And
Right.
yeah, people do transmit by other means. And language is extremely limiting in a lot of ways. You know, I learned that with psychotherapy, the fact that you have to condense experiences which are huge and nonverbal
Right.
into verbal descriptions that the other person, because you're going into the other person that's sitting there, into their world, and giving them the language that they need to hear, but hasn't that only gets like 2% of your experience. So
Which I think is why they want us so dumbed down and
mm,
why they spend all of this time and energy to separate us from that nonverbal. Because growing up in Nevada, I had conversations with the mountains, with the trees, with the sagebrush, with the earth, with the sun, the moon. And I can't say what the conversations were because you can't translate it. But I understood. I mean, I get kind of emotional thinking about it because there was just so much connection, and I feel so lonely without that connection because it was a connection to everything. And you never had the understanding that you were alone or that you're lonely or that we had these other more human languaged problems, depression, anxiety, and it's the way they funnel I think our spirits into the language so that we're controlled.
yes, and they even call that neuro linguistic programming. And I think Donald Trump is an expert at neuro linguistic programming, how to repeat and to
Yeah.
accurately project emotion with the same word every time, so that he takes over not only your verbal centers but your emotional centers. And yeah, it's we have to stop that. We have to stop doing that. You really see it with Hollywood movies. I mean, the fact that they've gotten so bad. And I was watching a bunch of critics quite rightly saying that like 2007, 2008, after that, you just didn't get a movie that connected with the human spirit anymore.
Right.
And to compensate for that, the actors are undergoing just massive plastic surgery. I think it's in response to that because they're trying to make themselves better
Mm,
rather than the problem is the entire psychology and the
right.
fact that they've been placed in that kind of position because cutting up your face, which is what they're doing, is destroying their ability to connect in a nonverbal way. It limits you
Mm.
if you can't, your
Yeah.
whole face is a code.
Well, that makes sense because why would the aesthetic then be, and I always wondered this, the Hollywood stars that can buy, the top of the line plastic surgeries, but they go for the mask, the Botox, and I personally don't think they do it. I think they're told to do it. I think when you get to that level of influence, you have handlers, whether it's their spouse, posing as their significant other or whatever it is. But I wrote a series called Hollywood's One Ring to Rule Them All
Mm.
about exactly how they use what I think of as MK Ultra style programming on the masses. So they
Oh, yes.
experimented with you. You were one of the first. And can we just kind of briefly go back over, let everyone know kind of your experience and the way that they control the mind, because I want to relate it to how what they're doing to all of us. And then I really want to save the last half hour for solutions.
Okay. Um,
This time solutions.
well, I'm 76 years old. I was born in 1949. The CIA was born in 1947. It's we're the same age. So, people think CIA is cast in stone. No, it's relatively recent. Um, it got its real roots. The MK Ultra program got its roots with 5 representatives from the new CIA, including, well, actually, it was more than 5, but 5 of them were related to me. Were in Nuremberg for the Nazi trials, and instead of hanging the criminals who did all the horrific experiments in the concentration camps, they allowed them to. They bargained. So the Nazi scientists had all their research there, but they made the point that it's not any good without them sharing their experience, their techniques, all that. And if they got a free passage to America, they would share that, and they did. And they got at least 1,500 of them. Now I'm talking just about the MK Ultra mind control programs because they were in multiple programs in other places. But I've been following the MK Ultra group. So they were taken to Huntsville, Alabama, and from there they were distributed around the United States and given laboratories, given funding, given unlimited access to funds and facilities. And then the CIA officers put their own children in the program. So I was born in 1949. The MK Ultra program officially got started in 1953, and I was put in it in 1955 when I was 6. And that's typical. A girl goes in at 6, boys go in at 7. Apparently, girls are better at absorbing trauma, and so I there was a procedure, and I had to watch my father take money for me and then denounce me, and I was physically abused in front of him, and I was screaming for help, and he turned to me and said, "No, this is what I raised you for." And I eventually forgot everything about my childhood because it was just horrific. But I never forgot that statement that was my purpose. That was my reason to be, was to be abused by old men who smelled like cigars. And so from that point on, I was half the time in my family's home. I think they wanted me to grow up looking like a normal person. And then half the time in various annexes around the country and in Mexico. And the annexes were officially called CIA safe houses. And they've disclosed all this in a series of documents that have been published by the National Security Archive. And Robin, do you have both of them? Did I send you both the releases? There was a release.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So Robin will have those in the show notes. And it's very important to look at this because after 70 years of calling anyone that said they'd been abused in this MK Ultra program or been satanically ritually abused or sexually abused or starved or all these things, now they admit it. And but that was December 23rd, 2024. So it's been, just less than 1 year that the CIA has admitted it, and meaning that survivors, and we've estimated there's about 300,000 living survivors of all the variations of the MK Ultra programs. And you've got to figure a very small percentage actually do survive with all the abuse, the cannibalism, the murders, and then on top of that, the suicide programs. So when people do start to wake up and start to recover, they have suicide programs programmed into them.
Right.
So they start inexplicably killing themselves. So it's very important, really important. Everyone, I know it won't happen, but everyone should read these documents because they do admit this is the first time unredacted documents have been available, and they've got 1,200 documents in the first batch and about 1,000 in the second batch. And they admit to all of it. And I think there'll be some massive lawsuits coming. It's not my interest. I just want to get the information out there.
Yeah.
Because our country needs to recover. And I consider lawsuits another distraction.
Definitely. It's part of a circus.
It is a circus. And they can tie it up for years and years and years. We're never going to win anything.
Same with the Epstein files. It's like, who was on the list? They're all on the list. Just pick a name in Hollywood and in politics. They're on the list. Done.
Yes, and it's been released. The fight logs have been released at least 5 times over the years. The first time in the early 2000s.
Right.
This is not new.
And we've seen them. But why, this really quick, why do you think the CIA is allowing us to see this information? That's what I get stuck in my mind. Why are they letting us see this?
It's the National Security Archive and George Washington University Library that have gotten hold of all this stuff. I don't know that it came directly from the CIA, but they also only take it up to about 1980. So that's pretty close to 50 years. So maybe there's a cutoff in the release. I think some really great gutsy people did this and got it out there and deliberately released it on the 23rd of December when nobody would be looking. And then thousands of us got hold of it. And now that's a genie that's not going back in the bottle.
Right.
Because like the first faces on the multiple pictures, and the first pictures are the people I remember. So, you've got 300,000 witnesses to this, and you've got the confession, and you will have legal action. Maybe the younger groups will benefit, and maybe there'll be money for safe houses. And well, that's another thing, is that the way the State Department sabotages all of this is the TIP report, the Trafficking in Persons report, which is done by the State Department every year, which allocate or does a study of every single country in the world and puts them on a list of how good how bad is their trafficking problem, how good are their solutions, how great are their programs,
right?
And of course who's number one,
right?
Us.
Yeah, exactly.
And you got to look at that and just absolutely laugh, because the Trafficking in Persons Office started in 2002. I was one of their first grantees in 2003. And I believed we were number one. I thought, sure, we're the best. And I went out and organized a survey of all the countries of the former Soviet Union. So we had identified them as having a big problem, and they did, and they still do. But where were the victims going? We also got that information all the way down to flights, places, names. And the three big receiving countries were Germany, Israel, and the United States.
Yeah.
And so I marched back to the tip office and said, look what I found out.
Yeah.
We aren't number one.
Right.
Yes. Well, that went over very well. And they continued to list us as number one. And even though at that time I was their largest grantee, and this was their biggest study that anyone had done, and it encompassed, I think, eventually like 30 countries and 1 million pieces of data. And but they ignored it completely. It was their own study. They funded it.
Yeah.
They paid me. They'd gone through all the results. They'd helped design it. They just didn't like the conclusions.
Right. And don't you think that's by design? I mean, the right arm shouldn't know what the left arm is doing, but somebody way behind the scenes, they know.
They know, and everybody knew. Except me. I was sort of the slowest to catch on, but I was over in Russia actually doing the work, and the trouble with this, so you have almost conflicting reports coming out. You've got the National Security Archive, which is saying, wow, the CIA got all this money, got these scientists, got these unlimited access to institutions. It describes how they got universities to give them entire floors and how they corrupted the medical profession, which there's a whole section in there where they talk about it was so much easier than they thought it would be to get doctors to do horribly unethical things.
I don't think it would. I mean, I think
No.
they are designed to put their heads down. I mean, the whole system is set up. The indoctrination quotient, which I call IQ, is set up to find them in the schools to lead the people. And so you can stick a piece of paper under any doctor's nose, and if it says peer reviewed and if it has a prestigious university, it's as good as gold. They don't think.
Especially if it has a $40,000 payment.
That's all it takes.
It is all it takes, and the fact that the medical profession never stood up against this. Anyway, so you've got the National Security Archive where they admit these abominable crimes. Actually, it's a Holocaust against American citizens and American children, and children brought in through human trafficking, which they also talk about in the archives. When they decide they can't keep killing Americans,
Right.
Somebody's going to sue them. So they decide, oh, well, we'll bring in more foreign kids and we'll call them all Mexicans. So, I mean, that's right in their little notes to each other. And yeah, it's really sickening. It's just disgusting. So the number, so there it is. So that should take us and put us in tier 3 immediately.
Right.
We should be at the bottom of the list because this is government-sponsored trafficking that began in the 1950s and has just gotten worse over the past 70 years. And I uncovered it when I was in Russia. I'm sure many other people have uncovered it as well, but everybody gets gaslighted and stifled. And then the tip office comes out and says, oh, no, we don't have any problems. State Department has determined, and this is the gold standard for the planet, that America is perfect. Our helplines are perfect. We get everybody. The police are perfect. There are no trafficking rings inside the United States. I mean, just total lies. And they know it's lies. And yeah, but that determines how every government office in the United States responds to any victim who
Right.
comes in and says, I've suffered this. I want my insurance to cover these injuries. No, no, this must be something you brought on yourself or you're hysterical. The tip office says so.
Yeah. Yeah. Here it says it right here.
Yeah, that's right. We're number one in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world.
This can't be possible. Does not compute.
Exactly. And that's what they're doing.
Hmm.
So because we're number one, it shows that the millions of dollars that are going to one vendor to do all the tip hotlines will just increase their money, even though 66% of calls do not go answered. Even answered. And yeah, survivors no longer trust any of those helplines. But you can't get funding locally to do a helpline, which would be a lot more help,
Right.
in a county situation or a sheriff's office or,
Right.
yeah, a district, a township. Any of those would be better than calling a national hotline that has a 40% chance of answering and gives you useless advice because it's for Washington, D.C.
Right. Right.
And then they've got your number, your data, your
But
information.
I think that's more close to the point of what it's about, tracking and tracing and finding where you are.
Yeah, so this has to be broken. This protection that's coming from above, and even though it's being, well, we now have the tools to break it
Right.
because not only did they come out with a tranche of documents in December, they just came out with another one on October 30th that continues where the first one left off. And it includes a lot of personal conversations and testimonies and research conclusions from the doctors who were running the MK Ultra program. And it refers to movies that they made. And I've looked up some of those movies, and they're worth watching. They made a movie about MK Ultra in the 1970s, and they interviewed a lot of these people. And they talk about what a good time it was. Their attitude is, oh, it was the 70s, we were just party people.
Right.
Well, I was at those parties and I was a party favor. And this was not this was pure depraved slavery. And uh it was very hard for me to watch them talking because I do remember them and I remember
Right.
their smells, their laughs, their um and that's because since I went in 1955 and it just barely started,
Right.
I met more of the original people than you would now because they claim that this all ended in the 1970s, and of course it didn't.
No.
And it's gotten bigger, more complicated,
They just got better.
better and cockier
Mm.
because like this reveal by the State Department whistleblower in the budget office that we were funding the children being unaccompanied minors being brought over the border into the United States, and that we have companies that get $47 million contracts to ship children all over the United States. And then the State Department declares, no, they don't know where they went. It's the State Department.
Right.
Those drivers write down every coffee they buy, every mile, everything is tracked.
Right.
So it's just a complete and utter lie.
Right.
But we're distracted by Venezuela. We're distracted by Gaza. We're distracted by, are we going to invade Cuba?
Right.
All this stuff when we should be focusing on our own country.
Yeah.
And caring for our own people and our own children. But distraction, it's like a laughing party. But now the survivors, we get to solutions. because I've been talking to a lot of survivors. And if you'd like to join me in some of their groups,
Yeah.
uh, these are amazing people. They think of themselves as like very repressed and broken. And I did for a long time, even though I've had huge positive reinforcement and most people don't have. I still felt like a defective item because that's what since childhood I was told that. I don't feel that way anymore, and I don't want these women in these groups, well, it's men too, to keep feeling that way because they survived the worst. That it's like they've survived a concentration camp, only they did it for their entire lives. You know, they've been used, abused, satanically, ritually tortured. They've been sexually tortured. They've been cut off from food. They've had their family relationships destroyed, and they're still here.
Yeah.
And they're still got enough fight that they want to do something. And so I think the next step is that the survivors focus on healing, and we focus on, or people like you who didn't go through this trauma, focus on helping develop the healing methodologies and the and that's going to have to focus. This is what is so difficult: is that you can't get a psychotherapy manual full of written words
Yeah.
that's going to be relevant to the I don't want to call it psychosis, the dissociative identity disorder,
Right.
which
Right.
which it's called a disorder. It isn't really. It's a way of
Coping
dividing up.
mechanism.
Yeah, coping mechanism and a reformatting of your hard disk. You put it
Right.
that way. But a lot of this has to be nonverbal. So the diagnosis techniques have to be nonverbal, and the therapy has to be largely nonverbal. And that takes a stretch for therapists to to be comfortable enough to like go into that nonverbal uh,
Space.
space. Yeah, and because that's where the wounding took place.
That's right.
You know, it's like with infants. I don't think infants experience abuse verbally. It's nonverbal.
And it's cataloged and it's stored. And so, I think always the solution is so much better than we realize. Like, good. I'm glad they're not going to government issued psychotherapists and,
Yeah.
psychologists, and because they make it worse. They keep you confined in the never ending loop of I need to heal this and I need to heal that. And oh my God, I'm still broken. Let me peel back some more onion layers. Let me do some psychedelics, and then that's it. And then you've spent your whole life chasing after trying to become whole again when it's right here, that
Yeah, actually, they are whole.
yeah, you're already whole. And I call it the ICU clinic. I realize, like, when I go
Mm.
see patients and I see hospice patients and they go off hospice, I don't even have to say anything. I just have to sit there and be present with them and connect with them in a way of I'm here. You're important enough for me to take the time to see and connect with. And you see them blossoming. It's not like, hey, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and we're going to do affirmations. It's just, I care enough about you as a person to be here and witness whatever you have to say.
It's interesting. One of the groups that's doing a safe house project, they're going to create protocols for rescue and safe house management. There isn't any.
Yeah.
There's no references at all. But the telling thing is they named the project Safe and Seen.
Mm.
And I think that's probably what the therapy is. They just need to be in a safe place and be seen.
Yeah.
And I think as a baby, your identity is what is how your parent sees you. And if it was horrible,
Yeah.
you feel invisible.
Yeah. And so
Yes.
that's a split right there. That's a dissociation. And then, if you project that into relationships at school and teachers and government schools, it's all these different forms of mind control that will just keep you stuck instead of, okay, now we're healed and we're whole. What are we going to do now that we're in our potential? How are we going to break away from this system that feels insurmountable? I mean, it completely feels like, what are you going to do against this tidal wave coming at us? And I think it's to ignore it. It's to stop watching I don't care what these Hollywood stars are doing. I feel sorry for them. I feel so bad that they are in this never-ending loop of chasing after fame, fortune, or whatever it is they have to do to stay relevant. But if we take away their supply, which is our attention, they will shrivel up. There's no battle because we'll lose. They outgun us, outman us. But they have to have our attention.
Well, the wars don't work unless they have our attention. The news doesn't work unless they have our attention.
Exactly.
There won't be any protests or angry riots if they don't have our attention.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between being apathetic and zoned out and drugged out, or being in a more enlightened space, you know. So so we have to find that, and then we can ignore the rest. And
That's
we might die doing that. I mean, you just can't be afraid of dying. And but I don't know. Sometimes I feel really close to it, and having traveled interdimensionally and knowing that that you widen into space, because it really feels like just expanding into another space, but you have to be able to get yourself back.
right.
And I think I was able to do that. Once I nearly died, and then I had such a hard time getting back. My body was going, and that I haven't done it since. You really you shouldn't do that without someone else.
Yeah, I had one experience because I call them flying dreams when I was little. And I would always leave my window open because that would be the only way I could get out and go flying. And I've had several since I've been an adult, but the last one, I started going away at an increasing speed, and I saw the moon, and it was like further and further away, and I was going faster and faster and faster, and I stopped it because I didn't know what I was doing, and I thought I could be gone, and I'll never find where I was. I don't have enough information to feel safe going at this speed away from my body.
Yeah, I agree. It's a skill like anything else, like learning to do high dive
Right.
or or run or dance, or it's a skill, and
And
you
it's
can stumble.
learned.
Yeah, it's learned, and it's learned in those. Feels like the rest of my DNA is out here somewhere.
Right.
It's
Right.
learned out there. It's I think we're on the cusp. If you take the the people that aren't buying into the whole
Right.
uh, jump around, shriek, and make noise and think you're doing something, um, we're on another path, and it's a fascinating path, and I'm ready for it. I wasn't ready for it until I physically let go of the programming. And when I say that, it's not to like make anybody think that there's a quick fix for programming. Programming goes out about the same rate as it went in. So it's slow. And because you were a small child when they started it, um, it's in every cell of your body and it has to come out of every cell of the body. And when you do that, you relive the memory and you have to keep reassuring yourself that this is a memory.
Right.
It's but because it hurts just like it hurt when it went in. Um, and that's a very cruel aspect of what they've done and helps drive people to suicide.
Right. Or to give up, because I
Mhm.
think I find that on my journey, awakening to just the reality of what all of this is. I have to awaken to the reality of I allowed them to inject my son with poison and it harmed him. And it's hard to wake up to that reality. It's easy for me to wake up to the reality of, yeah, I was abused. That's so what? I didn't do anything wrong. It's very hard for me to wake up to the reality of I hurt other people because of my decisions and because of where I was at that time and what I believed in. And I was a card-carrying member of the Matrix. And so to wake up to that is hard. I think that's where we really have to face the dragon and have that compassion that you would for another person telling you the same story. You still have to go through it, right? You still have to say, like, this is what I did.
Yeah, it doesn't change. And that was certainly one of the biggest blocks for me going forward and actually giving up the programming was my guilt over what I had done and the fact that I couldn't do more and I don't know. I could write a book on all the
Yeah.
things I regret, but I did give it up and it was my identity. Sex magic was my identity, all the skills in that,
Yeah.
it's a training like being trained to be a magician or, a
Right.
dancer or
Yeah.
anything else. It was a graduate course which gave me skills. And that's another thing that trafficking survivors need to look at is the fact we've been given some really amazing skills and we're all intelligent. We were chosen for our intelligence, our skills, our talents. Um, and we can use those. We don't have to use those the way they were uh, put into us. The idea that we're supposed to now go out and abuse and attack and hurt children. No, we can fight back. I mean, these are tools that heighten a lot of our abilities. So yeah, so I thought I was concerned. I don't know. I just reached a point where if I was going to accept Christianity, which I did, which I fought to do, which I struggled all my life to get to out of the Church of Satan and into my relationship with Christ, I had to give up the whole satanic, ritualistic, witchcraft, magic. So I laid down and did it, and I felt it go out of me. Now this took years. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. This is to get to that point where I could actually let the last piece of it go out of me, which involved accepting what I had done. You know, because because what you're not taught as an MK Ultra survivor is grace,
Hmm.
and that we have grace. You know, it it doesn't matter what we've done or what we believe we've done or what, we don't judge ourselves. We will be judged, but the Lord gives us grace. And that let me let go. And I thought I was going to die. I really did. Or that I would lose all my power, all my intelligence, all my abilities.
Yeah.
And I did change. I changed a lot and I felt it go out of me and I heard bells, like little tinkly bells. And to me, that was the Holy Spirit laughing.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, you're going to stop taking yourself so seriously now. Can we, get some stuff done here?
Right.
And I said, all right, all right, all right. And I did change. I became much stronger, much more focused, um, much more difficult to, well, I didn't engage in the external playing that goes on when you're a sex magic operative. I mean, clearly I was heading towards honeypot. I mean, that was the goal of all the young women, I think, like Kathy O'Brien and people in the 50s, was to become a useful whore. And so that, I don't know, I'm glad I did it. Um, I hope that I can help other people do it because people did help me. And mostly it was about forgiving myself for having been a child. I mean, that's what I was most guilty of, is that I would see other children abused and killed and not be able to do anything about it. And so as an adult, I've been fighting that ever since, and I can't do all of it. But I don't need to be a honeypot.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it actually doesn't help anything. So that was what they put into me, and I wanted it out, and it's out. And so now I'm not um, I can't be triggered the same way. I have very different emotional patterns. I mean, something really did leave me,
Mm.
like a evil spirit or something went out of
Yeah.
me and into the pigs or something. You
Hmm.
know, the demons left.
I think that's right there how we can start changing things because I do feel like the trauma, this is my understanding, is that the trauma, that disassociation and the split of the personality and the split of the spirit allows entities to come in and take hold. And just like you can have parasites that are feeding off the necrotic tissue, you have entities feeding off the negative energy, the toxic relationships, the alcohol, the drugs, whatever it is. And when you stop feeding those monsters, they have no other choice but to leave because there's no
Absolutely.
food for them.
And they're out here. They're out in the DNA we supposedly don't use. That's where they've been installed.
Right.
So it takes a certain series of um, releases. I mean, every day for an MK Ultra survivor, you're releasing something. You're letting something go, and when you've gotten released enough, you can finally let the programming go and not trigger a massive suicide program, which you still see happen. I mean, like poor Isaac Cappy, who came out and revealed all kinds of things about Hollywood and then jumped off a bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, he jumped, so he had triggered his own
Oh,
suicide program. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen. And people reading the documents, people who watch this and read the documents, and you start going, I don't remember anything before the age of 12. Or I was in a GATE program. There's another one where the MK Ultra programs were carried out at schools without parents even knowing about it. And kids were given a pink frothy drink.
oh
And
gosh.
yeah, and then they were sedated and they woke up in another room with video screens and strange noises, and they can't remember what happened. They remember the drink, they remember video screens and weird things, but tens of thousands of American children have been through the GATE program, which is gifted and talented education. So the
That
parents,
goes with my hypothesis that that's the government schools are looking for
yeah,
the goats to lead the
the
sheep.
goats. Yep.
The clever ones that have the high IQs, but then can regurgitate, not someone like me who's going to say, no, I don't, I'm
Yeah,
not,
screw it.
yeah, no. Yeah, this doesn't make sense. And no, you can't convince me of anything. But those that you can convince that Juliette, you're the smartest of in the class, and here's how, and everybody wants that. Everybody wants that feeling. And then what do you, they keep kind of leading you along, and this is how we learn things, and this is how we regurgitate the information, and this is how we help other people.
Yeah, and then they wind up in a DHS shooters sniper program, and then you get the snipers that we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, and in Utah. I mean, those kids were obviously programmed and
Yeah.
put through the program, and they think they're doing something wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's got to end. This has got to stop, and we're destroying our own population. Um, we're destroying our ability to think for ourselves. Uh, when you think it's really only been, I look at my writings before the
Mhm.
time that the release came out in December, where they admitted to everything. And there I was speculating, apologizing, like, well, maybe this happened and all this. Boom. It lands on my desk from the National Security Archive. There it is.
Yeah.
I'm in a different place because and they're very good. They source everything. So when it talks about the founder of the MK Ultra program, Sidney Gottlieb, that they brought him from technical services from the OSS, which became the CIA. They brought him over, and he was known as the chief poisoner of the CIA, and his specialty was mRNA.
Oh.
And there's a source connected to the documents, a whole book written about his research and how he had determined that mRNA was no good for vaccines, but it made a terrific bioweapon and could be modified ethnically so that it could target specific races. This could be done, and they did it. So the whole push towards mass mRNA injection of the American population, early 50s. And it was that guy. And, heaven knows what he's injected into me. I don't know. I was a slave there until the age of 17. But so it's been a very short time. We've had this to deal with. We've got all this structure that came out of that didn't exist before 1950.
Right.
That's what we have to realize. This is recent. It's like when the Soviet Union fell apart, they'd only been under communist rule for 80 years.
Oh.
So 3 generations they'd been under communism. They threw it off, changed everything, took back what they thought was good from the past, and have created an entire new future for themselves, and became a civilizational state that the whole country got behind. And of course, you're not allowed to see that. You can't see RT. You can't get Russian news translated. You can't see views. You can, if you work at it, you can, and you should, because they don't want you to see that. Because we need to do what they did. Because ours is crumbling down, and we will either fall into total destruction, despair, death, and be overrun by barbarians, or the equivalent of barbarian, maybe capybaras.
Yeah.
Then, or we create a civilizational state that includes all Americans, and is something we can accept and be proud of and work towards. That's positive and protects the vulnerable and the children and isn't based. Yeah, and get over this. He who has the most toys wins.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
No, and I think there is an energy in this country that understands that. And it's just, there's a lot of people that go along to get along, but I mean, I talk to thousands of people every year, and heart to heart discussions every year. And there's this this seed, I think, that's ready to germinate within a lot of different people from a lot
Yeah.
of different places. They don't have to be awakening or, believe your political understanding or your religious views, but we all have this common thread of humanity,
Hmm.
and so that's the start of the solution, I think, is just to ignore the Hollywood. That's easy to do. You don't go to the movies and pay your money to Starbucks and McDonald's, but then
Yeah. And that's
also
happening, isn't it?
it's happening. And they notice, and so they're desperate and they're clawing, and so I think you're right with the movies. They haven't placed anything new or good because they didn't have to. We just see Hollywood stars up there doing the same thing. Like, how many movies have we seen a family of four where the kids and the parents are singing? Like, you don't have another script besides that? And so you see these repetitive things. And so I started thinking, why are we seeing this? And I think a lot of the movies are made by AI. But getting back to solutions, then it's the soul to soul connection we have with our fellow humans,
Yes.
your neighbors, the people you interact with. I go into the gas station and everyone's there saying Robin, and they give me a hug. It's a connection. So you can make that connection with everyone, and then we can start to have these conversations like, hey, seems like the food at the grocery stores is garbage and expensive. How about we start a food forest in our
Mhm.
backyards? Or just kind of simple things like that, because we can't take on the beast directly.
We can't, no, and we don't have to. We have unique talents and abilities the beast doesn't have. It
Right.
tried really hard to get it, um, all kinds of ways. MK Ultra was a way of extracting souls. Adrenochrome is a way of, extracting souls. CERN is to manufacture a soul, you can't do it. Your soul is your connection to the divine.
Yeah.
That can't be manufactured. And you're right, about, its community that makes life. We're social beings, and it's those soul connections. And oh, AI, you brought up AI. I think, that's supposed to defeat us. We are supposed to be defeated by AI, which is just faster, garbage in, garbage out. It's
Right.
just it's just much faster.
Exactly. Exactly.
And we can say no to that too. We don't need that. Um,
No, I think they overplay their hand, and they keep trying to find those of us who are willing to say, yeah, I'll give up my soul for $1 or for the fame, the approval, the appreciation. But there are a lot of us that won't. And like you said, you have these unique set of skills. I have a unique set of skills. So, what would happen if we honor each and everyone as their unique individuals, and then we can move forward with all of our unique skills, but they want to keep us separate and fighting so that we
yes,
don't realize that.
yeah. So we have this form of technology that we're using now, and I'm sure we're getting spied on and all that, but it doesn't matter
Exactly.
because we're not on that plane with them. And so I'm looking forward to the new year. I think that, the things are changing. And who knows? I don't have control over what's going to happen in the future. I think I have control over how I let myself grow, how I search out friends, neighbors, connections. Um, but I want to go into the nonverbal. Oh, I saw the most beautiful YouTube. I have to send it to you. It's a man who makes flutes out of deer elk. No, deer horns,
Yeah.
elk horns, elk antlers, and they play at 432 hertz,
Oh,
And what a beautiful sound. It's just a stunning sound. I'll give you the
I would
link so
love
you
to see
can.
that. And it's right down there for those watching the podcast. Just click.
Yes, I'll send it to you right after we're done. But there's something hauntingly beautiful about that frequency, and it's made from a natural instrument, and it's the antlers that the deer shed every year.
Right.
So they go out into the forest and they find them. They don't shoot the deer. It's so every year they find the bigger and bigger horns, and they can actually make an instrument with different levels of flute from the different lengths of the horns. It's beautiful. It's
Oh, I
really
can't
beautiful.
wait to see that. And I agree with you. That's how we know our healing. That's how we know our medicine because it sounds beautiful,
Mm.
you know, and the all of this, people always ask me like, how do I know what's, everything seems like it's poison. And well, because we have this internal guidance system. We have this divine discernment. And so if
Yes.
it's beautiful, then we can start making that. Like they're turning everything into just a garbage dump. And all the architecture is just it's hard to find the beauty. So what? Well, good. I don't want to find beauty inside a city anyway. I want to find it out in nature. And those of us that can see and have the ears to hear and can hear the wind and can hear the trees and can hear the sun, there's a place for us that can start building what we see. We start envisioning this, and then that's what starts to manifest.
Yes. And all these movies that create so much ugliness and violence and artificial intelligence. I mean, people
Yeah.
aren't buying the CGI
Right.
because it's false and it's ugly
And it's like it's mysterious and oh my God, AI is going to take over the world. And then you see it in actuality and you start talking to Chat GTP or whatever it's called. It's dumb.
it's dumb. It's
It's
garbage
not.
in, garbage out.
Yeah, it's not going to take over anything.
No.
Not at this point. Sorry, guys, it isn't. And the self-driving cars aren't working, and all of this stuff that there's trying to, take us into this idea of, we need to be terrified and it's coming and microchipping our brain. No, they don't have the technology. They never will. They're always scaring us with the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, which that's what they do. But again, if we don't pay attention to it, nobody's going to be scared of a mosquito bite, which half the people are now because they think it's going to change their DNA and take over their mind or vaccinate them.
Yeah. Yeah. And the sheep will be sheep and the goats will be goats, and we'll sort ourselves out that way,
Exactly.
which is what they always said in the program. They always said that we were the goats and everyone else was the sheep, but that was the program. So,
Yeah.
but that goats will be goats and will lead or be independent, think
Yeah.
for themselves. Sheep won't, no matter what you do. So we shall see. It's a new
We shall
year.
see. We shall see. Because I think I truly, and maybe this is just my programming, but I truly feel that every single person has the ability to wake up to their power, their brilliance, their wisdom. And I see a lot of people, and you can vouch for this with the way they torture children. Like there's some people that just were not given a fair shake. They were born into abusive families or they were trafficked and yet we still can find the humanity in that and connect with another person with our soul to soul connection that can I think heal anything.
Yes, I agree with you. And looks like I'm going to have to go.
You're out of time. So can you leave us with one positive thing that we could do and our audience can do today to start what we're talking about, the solutions?
I thought our discussion was very positive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're facing a horrible mess. We're facing wars. We're facing famine. We're facing another pandemic. I mean, they were so happy with the terrible results of the last one. I'm sure we'll get more. But as Robin said, we don't have to participate. We don't need to be part of this. And I think letting go, getting right with yourself, getting your physical connection to the divine, holding that nearer and dearer to you, being in nature, listening to the elk horn flutes and the sounds of the winds in the trees, and get your toes in the dirt, your fingers in the dirt, grow something, grow your own food. That's the kind of thing we need to do. And you're not, it doesn't mean that you go watch it on television. No, you go out and you do it. We're on the verge. We're heading for that transition. Slow down, even though we're heading full speed into that cataclysm. Slow yourself down. Go into the next dimension means slowing yourself down. Don't go with it. Slow down and reflect on yourself, your life, your relationship to the people around you. Clean up your own house to get ready for the slide, and know that you have no control over the physical outcome. What you have control over is your preparation for the spiritual outcome and the nonverbal transgenetic outcome, because this is going to survive, meaning all the connections to our energy bodies, our spiritual bodies, our extended presence bodies, our connections to the divine and to entities we can't verbalize. So the overall effect for me is slowing down. So that's my advice.
But that's it. That's always the solutions. It's always so simple and so easy, and you could do it right where you sit.
Yep, right where you sit. You don't need to go anywhere. You can go outside and walk in the grass, but you don't need to walk farther than your own block.
Yes.
There's no place to go that is safe from any of this.
Thank you for saying that. That is so true. And we're also taught to run. There's the Garden of Eden out there, and just go find it. It's going to be in this country or that country. Flee, flee, flee. And
we can run away from the war. We can run away from the famine. We can run away from
a safe place from the chemtrails and organic food and this utopia. And it isn't. It's right where we stand. Yes,
it's right where we stand. So slow down, be who you are, stand right where you stand, and move into your divine connection. And then we'll talk about how that went next time.
Bloom where you're planted. Thank you so much, Dr. Juliette Engel, for being here, for lighting this hour up, for really taking the next steps and embodying that, because that's where we're at right now. We've collected enough data. We know what the world around us looks like. Now it's time to do all those things. It's time to bloom.
Yeah, you're right. We have the data. We've done that part of the paper.
Yeah.
We've written the introduction. We've done the research.
Yes.
Now we're in the project and implementation portion.
Let's start implementing.
Yeah, and the conclusion, we have no control.
No, and I like that though, because that's so, can you imagine if we have that responsibility at the conclusion?
Yeah, we don't have that responsibility. No.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome, and I'll give you those links.
Thank you for joining us for another incredible episode of the Medicine Girl podcast, where our mission is to ignite the power within so you can hear your divine wisdom and follow your soul's true north. Fear is loud. Peace is quiet. Listen to the softest voice. We are all walking each other home.